All right, welcome to Breaking Cardboard episode 2. Happy to be joined. I was gonna do a whole different intro and I screwed that up, but that's okay. That's what happens when you don't do the show for a while. But happy to be joined. He does his own content. He's a funny guy. I laugh at a lot of his stuff. I don't like it when people are funnier than me, but you might have just did that. But Josh Durham, welcome to Breaking Cardboard. And I was gonna bring you on and kind of play one of our sponsors. So we'll do it in reverse. I'll intro you, and now we have two sponsors for the show. So let me play this one sound clip, and then away we go.
Experience, quality, consistency, and the quickest turnaround times in the grading industry? We are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com. Experience, quality.
All right. So with this episode, if you've seen it before, I try to have a different guest on each time. And let me put out the background. Don't look. It says live second Friday each month. We go every other week. So we'll be back with episode 3 in 2 weeks. But we're on episode 2. I'm happy to be joined by Josh here. And we're going to open not right now, but we're going to, as always, as the name of the show entails, Breaking Cardboard. We're gonna rip some wax. I got some, and I know Josh does too. 9091 hoops, and then 87 tops a cello pack. So we'll always fun to rip, especially that junk wax and vintage era stuff. It's always fun to do. So enough of me jibber jabbering. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This is new to me. I don't really get on live feeds and YouTube very often, so I'm happy to oblige and hang out with you for a little bit.
Well, I appreciate you, and I know we've talked before, but this is the first time. I know our paths. We just missed each other when I came to Dallas
Yeah,
for the Dallas Card Show. We'll have to officially meet and that sort of thing. But
yeah. I think we all
you
know
know,
the same groups of people too.
yeah, yeah.
A small
It's
community.
one big. It's one big fraternity, right? I mean, that's
Amen.
what the hobby is. So we're both sports fans. You're a Yankees guy. I'm a Mets guy, so we're
We can
not
get
too
along.
far
We can
off.
play in the sandbox
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Just say, listen, it's one AL and NL. So if we're gonna play each other in the postseason, it's in the World Series. I'll sign up for that. If you tell
Yeah.
me the Mets are in the World
Subway
Series,
Series, 25 years later, we'll do it.
yeah, yeah, we'll take it. But some of the talk in baseball right now is this right here, the torpedo controversy. I'm calling it. You got one of those torpedo bats
Yeah,
as well.
John and I were talking earlier. I just got my new torpedo bat in the mail, and I've been checking it out. Its efficacy seems to be good, as you're showing in the
I
picture
guess
right now.
you got red ones and you got blue ones, right? I guess
Absolutely.
it's almost like politics, red
Yeah, that's
versus
right.
blue. But listen, I'll let you know. You're the guest. I'll acquiesce to you as a baseball fan. Um, what are your thoughts with these torpedo bats? Obviously, that graphic is a funny thing. They don't look like that. I think most people have saw what look
Well, I'm
like
kind of
they're.
all over the board with it. You know, I kind of heard some rumblings of this, sometime last season about these new bats that they've been coming out. And from everything that I've read about them, they do fall within the rules and the specifications that are lined out. I do think those may have been the margins been stretched on them a little bit. Um, it's tough because the game has changed so much with the rules and what we're doing over the past, I would say, decade. Um, the entry into the market, I would guess you say, as a Major League Baseball player, if you were say a veteran of 10 years, it has changed so much. So much so that I think people are having to relearn the game or turn the dial on what they do. And many people will be like, well, that's an unfair advantage. And my response would be, well, you still have to pitch to the guy. You got to learn how to pitch because, there's been this very heavy emphasis for probably around 8 to 10 years of just guys that just chuck the ball as fast as they can and running in 9, 10 pitchers a game. When you got a guy like Greg Max who won 354 games and, he wore glasses and spectacles and looked like a school teacher, and he hit his corners. And, if you pitch a game under 100 pitches now, it's a complete game. They call it a Maddox. The guy was just a master at what he did. And, my response to be with people about the bats, learn how to pitch, learn how to hit your corners, learn how to change speeds.
Yeah.
So it's different. You are having guys that, would, everything I read about Anthony Volpe is like 3 of his home runs he's hit out of his 4. It's like those are balls that he would have got jammed on last year because he was just not getting the head of the bat out quick enough. So I don't know. It's interesting, of course, home runs sell, slug sells, balls to the gap sell. So, I mean, baseball is going to do whatever it can to increase that. But, with every action is an equal and opposite reaction, whether it's from us, the fans, or how people interact with the game. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how I feel about it just yet.
I agree with you. I'll touch on some of the stuff. I'll start off by saying this, and I think you mentioned this too in there, Josh. These bats actually we're really hearing about it now because of that recent game where the Yankees hit 9 home runs. 3 of those home runs were hit by Aaron Judge in that game.
He's a phenom.
Who doesn't use that?
He doesn't need to. Uh-oh.
Are using them,
Mm-hmm.
and more people are noticing them. I think that trend continues. Major League Baseball at this point has signed off on the use of them. They're obviously allowing it. Otherwise, we'd be hearing about it more. So I had this conversation with my son, who's 25 years old, earlier tonight, and and I told him, his name's Jordan. I said, Jordan, I know they're legal and the league's allowing it. The Yankees aren't the only team using them. Other players from other teams, including the Mets with Lindor and others. But my fear is if it really is an advantage and we start seeing games that are like 14-12, constantly, like you said, though, I think people like that. Some people like scoring and home runs, right? I'm sort of an old school baseball purist. I don't mind. Obviously, I like a nice home run when they're hit. But if I feel like these bats are making sort of a travesty of scoring home runs and threatening maybe records and making games more video game like in 14-12, then I think baseball really has to sort of look at that and determine, is this good, or should they maybe amend the rule that allows these bats to stay in play, which is how it is today. So I'm sort of let's table it, see how this plays out for this year, and that sort of thing. But we're seeing scoring.
You want some data on it,
Yeah, and again, I know the Yankees are the poster boy for these torpedo bats, but they're not. I bet without knowing with 100% certainty, I bet you there's at least one player from every team that has one of these, and that if not yet, that will be soon because players are starting to order these things customized and that sort of thing. So
for instance, the Texas Rangers series, they just played Cincinnati. First game, they lost 14-3. Elly De La Cruz had 2 home runs, 7 RBIs using a torpedo bat. Next 2 games, Reds lost 1-0 in each of those games and had 7 total
3
hits.
straight.
Yeah.
3 straight games they lost 1-0. First time since 1960. Couple comments here. Ruben says it's not the bats. The Brewers had crappy pitching that game. And he also mentioned, it's a little bit of a bandbox, the new Yankee Stadium. So
wouldn't disagree.
Yep. But 9 home runs and Warren adds here, absurd, right? In the game. That's where the video game comes in. But we see these, right? Anomalies. They happen every once in a while. Look, the Reds just got shut out 3 straight times, 1-0. If you would have told me the Mets would give up 1 run in 3 games, each 1 run in each of the 3 games in a row, and would lose all 3, I would think you're crazy. But that's exactly what happened to the Reds.
Yeah.
First time since 1960. So as much as the scoring's up in some cases, in 3 games, 3 runs, and the team won 1-0. So that's why I say let's see how this plays out a little bit before we kind of jump
Sure.
to rash decisions. But if at the end of the year we're seeing like if the home runs are way, way more than the previous year, we're seeing, whatever the league average ERA is, increased by a whole run a game or more, then it may be, Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred will have to look at it. But for people who probably like home runs and scoring, they're going to probably like their torpedo bats. What they do in the short Cliff Notes version, it just enlarges that sweet spot. So you made a great point with Volpe, where last year maybe wasn't getting the bat head around quick enough. This year that's a little bit forgiven because that bat head is a little bit bigger. So it'll be in the zone a little bit longer for what that's worth. So
For sure.
we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna table it in my mind, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way, and then we'll see what baseball.
We start having late 90s home run numbers, then we'll have to start doing
that.
Yeah,
and listen, you make a great point, right? Pitchers got to make better pitches too. You know what I mean? And they throw hard enough. I mean, I think the number is 64 different pitchers hit 100 miles an hour on the radar gun last year. So people bring in the cheese. It's just like you said, you can't throw right down the park because these guys are professional ball players. They're going to hit it. You're going to have to mix your pitches up, learn to be a pitcher, not a thrower, right? As a former, I'm not a major league player, played high school, little league. We always used to have a saying, are you a pitcher or a thrower? The thrower just throws the ball without any kind of game plan or thought process. A pitcher will try to keep a hitter off balance, change the speeds, location, that sort of thing. I definitely didn't throw 100 miles an hour, so I had to be a pitcher and develop a curveball and off-speed pitch to get guys out. So, that was me. But and I did make Ruben makes a point here. I don't know if you knew about this. I'm not going to. I meant, I was 1 win away. Our team was 1 win away from going to Williamsport in the Little League World Series.
Oh wow!
We played Jason Varitek's team before he was the Jason Varitek we know today, and he had a ball that I think's still going. Matter of fact,
off you?
I didn't. Off of me.
Oh wow!
It was the only game I lost on the mound that year, and not my best performance either.
Oh man, that was worth me getting on the night to know that you made Jason Varitek a star.
I didn't even look, like it was such a no doubter, Josh. I didn't even turn around. I just held my glove up for the umpire to give my catcher the ball and throw it to me. And after the inning was over, I went in the dugout. My teammates were like, Newman, you see where that thing landed? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, who are you? Like, whose team are you on, man? You're like excited about a home run just hit off me. Like, I probably said a bad word in there too that I won't repeat on here. But it's more, I can laugh at it now more than I was. I'm still a competitive guy. Still play men's competitive softball, but I wasn't real happy about it then. And I didn't know it was Jason Varitek. I mean, I knew it was Jason Varitek, but this is before the Georgia Tech and Red Sox years. Obviously, it's Little League. So, I guess there's my 15 minutes. So, a couple hellos. We got Warren, Ruben, Orlando's in the house. Mark Hoyle. Mr. Red Sox. And we're joined by Josh Durham today on Breaking Cardboard episode 2. So, a little bit talk about your content. You do an everyday dad thing. You do kind of a baseball card tour. I'll let you kind of speak to your content. You got a new gig that you started as well. So go ahead and for those
So
that
I've been in
may
the
not be
entertainment.
familiar with. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been in the entertainment industry about 20 years. Uh, I've been a card collector since the mid 80s. And I guess about 6 months ago, after I got tired of making content for companies and not getting to use it for my own social media, I started saying, you know what? I've got all this content that I've gone to events, gone to games, interviewed sports players and everything. I'm going to start editing it and putting it up on a social media page. So I created a new social media page and started posting it. I'm a father, so I learned all these new dad hacks and dad tricks. And you know what? I wanted to start filming all that. About 2 years ago, I started filming all that too. Towards the end of COVID, and I'm like, I got to start posting that too. So edited it, started posting all that stuff on 2 separate pages. About 6 to 8 weeks ago, someone in the industry saw one of my videos and reached out to me and wanted to know if I would be interested in working for their organization. And like any good businessman, I always say yes to a conversation. So I did, and they hired me. So that's my new company. It's called Dallas Wax. Wax sports card stores are stores across the nation. We also have some other brands, Triple Cards. We have 2 comic book shops, but we are opening 8 more locations across the USA and 1 internationally. And I am super excited. I'm the head of content creation. So they saw one of my videos. It was for Topps Rip Night. And one of their stores, Tom Brady came to, and I happened to be there and started filming and cut up a video, put some cool music to it, and threw it on my social media, and they reached out to me. So I couldn't be more, just excited. I started about 2.5 weeks ago. We just got back from our store in Denver this past week. We had a in-store signing with Jamal Murray, and cut up a video. It's online right now, and I worked on another one today. So we have shops all over. We have one opening in Miami soon, Austin, Houston. We got 2 more in Fort Worth. Our operations are based out of Dallas, Texas. So I'm super excited to do that, man. I'm getting to put 2 things I love together: content creation and baseball cards. I mean, I work around baseball cards every day. I get up from my desk and I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
So
not a bad gig. Not a bad gig if you can get it. Now you're gonna have to. Is your travel itinerary gonna be bumped up, or are you gonna be doing more?
It will for the foreseeable future. It'll be quick trips. My job is to go in there and just have that creative eye, just go in and film. We're really excited. Hopefully, Jamal, he seemed open to a social media collaboration, because I'm about growing the brand as in our social media channels. I have at this point close to 20 social media channels that I help manage. So we want to grow those, and Jamal seems super open to collaborating with us, which that's a huge deal when somebody has 1 million followers. So I hope that he does from a content creator standpoint. You're always like, wow, you want your stuff to get seen. So yeah, I love what I do. I'm still kind of getting my feel for everything. But I always, at any time, people at any job, I think, get imposter syndrome. They think, can I actually do this? But I'm like, you know what? Somebody liked what I did. And I always taken this piece of advice that I heard early in my days as an on-camera talent is, if you sell apples, keep selling apples. So I'm going to keep selling apples and do what I do well, tell stories, and, meet people. And I've met so many, it's just been so wonderful working in the industry, and, being a friend of the industry. I've met so many good people, and, I met you because we all know the same people. I mean,
Yeah.
Everybody that I know in Dallas in the card industry, I think you've met. And we're kind of the epicenter
Probably
right now.
in either in person or much like we did
Yeah.
as well, Josh. So
I'll probably be at
let's
the
get
national too. So if you're there, man, we'll
Yeah,
definitely.
I was not sure I was going, but I am going now. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Well,
let's
maybe a
make
work trip
point.
for me.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, work.
yeah.
No, I
Hey,
got you.
it's work when you're having fun, man, and it's work together. It's always wonderful.
Yeah. Cool. Let's get to some comments because this is Orlando. He says I've been to every card store in South Florida.
Oh, we'll be there. We'll be open in Miami in about less than 2 months, maybe 2 months.
Here's your buddy and my buddy.
Rich.
Says,
Uncle
so
Rich.
glad to see Josh using his skills and doing more in the hobby. The triple cards, family of cards have always been very helpful for his Dot Durham shows. So yeah,
I've set up at that show a couple of times.
Yep. Rich says smash the like button and sub. Thank you, Rich. Ziggy's asking, how long have you been running the stores? It's the content.
This is my second.
Yeah,
this is my second week full of work running the content. I don't run the stores. I help manage the content for the stores and help run their social media pages and work with the marketing department. So I'll be going to events. We have an event at one of our stores every week. Like tomorrow, we have a trade night. Tomorrow is National Hockey Card Day, so we have a big thing going on for that. So something every week at one of our stores, and I'm constantly, going out to a store, whether it's locally. If we have a huge event like this past weekend, I'll go to those stores. But it's a lot of fun, man. I didn't think that, in my mid 40s, I'd get a gig like this, working freelance for so long, and you wake up and like your mind's running at 5:45 in the morning when, and you're ready to go for the day. And I don't have to really drink coffee as much as I did, and because you just get excited,
No doubt. Breaking news here for sports fans.
Kobe tied it. Yeah.
Ruben is
that update.
That's a hat trick because I think he was 3 behind.
Wow.
So, yep.
It'd be great if he could broke on National Hockey Card Day, because we're giving away a Gretzky stick tomorrow.
Yeah, Gretzky is in attendance. That I know. Gretzky is in attendance at the game. Ziggy, Michael is asking, do you break at these stores too? I'm a veteran, probably yes, or it depends.
We actually have our own breaker channel, Waxed. If you go Waxed with 2 X's, Waxed Breaks, is our break channel. It's quite popular. The break guys are super cool. So yeah, go check them out as well.
Yep. Orlando says, hey, I want to be there in Miami for the opening.
You'll hear about it, trust me, because I'll make sure everybody knows. That's my job.
Go. Yeah. Ziggy, hobbies growing and providing lots of opportunities, no doubt. That's
amen.
Truer words not can't be spoken. So all right, let's get we'll get Rich is going crazy in the chat room. We both love Rich. I can't keep up. That's bad when I can't keep up with Rich. Let's open. I'll let you go first. You want to open one of your packs, and then I'll open one of mine. We'll take kind of
let's go hoops.
Yep. All right. I'll match
you. What are you looking for in this, John?
Well, I think obviously Michael Jordan. There's no huge rook. I think Gary Payton rookies in this.
Yeah.
You got I hate to say it, but you got the Menendez brothers.
Yeah, I was about to say, is that the Menendez?
The Mark checks. Yeah, I think it's this year. Yeah, for sure. So let's see. I'll let you go first, and I'll open the same pack when you're done.
Okay. So we got Winston Garland, Golden State Warrior. Not too familiar with him, but he did have a good year. Sam Vincent.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Hall of Famer here. Adrian Dantley.
Yeah. Actually, I think we have different packs. That's okay. That's the year before.
Okay.
The Mark Jackson year.
Gotcha. Yeah. John Williams.
You got the 89-90, which is Jordan's the big one. David Robinson. Rookie.
That's right. Brooklyn's own Chris Mullin.
That's my dude.
That's my dude,
That's my guy. That is
Jerry
my
Sloan,
dude.
he's a Hall of Famer, correct?
I think so. Yeah, as a
Yeah,
coach. Well,
yeah.
he played
Solid,
too.
solid, man. Never could get that ring though, man. Jordan mowed him down
Yeah,
2 straight years.
yeah. And then Carmelo tried to go to the Lakers and get one. That didn't work either.
Him and GP.
Yeah,
Steve Stipanovich. Don't know
there you
him,
go.
but yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think he had a long career. I don't remember him too much.
And
No
then here's we
offense.
got Neek.
There you go.
Dominique, man, he had some about a 3-year
He's known
span.
for the dunks, but he was he was a great player. Like besides
He,
the
he had a
dunks,
pretty decent mid-range jumper from what I remember. I mean, everybody in the
Yeah.
80s, to be successful, you had to then.
Ruben's our pun guy, so pun intended.
Yes, we enjoy puns here. Mark Aguirre. Oh, you see, I saw my company's names.
Yep. So
Yeah, that's us.
Yep. Foul ball.
Benoit Benjamin. He's from my hometown and area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Monroe, Louisiana. Yep. That's awesome. I'll tell my brothers. Michael Adams, Randy Brewer, Bill Cartwright. Man, he had the ugliest jumper, didn't he?
Yeah. He was listen, he was a big dude. Like he was a center, like power forward center. So he wasn't shooting many jumpers. He was pretty close to the basket.
And he had a really solid career for
the
Knicks.
Yeah. He's a borderline. I don't think he's in the hall, but he's probably on that right on the outside looking in type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really solid career for the Knicks. Yeah, that was my pack.
All right, let me go, and then we'll get back.
You gotta beat me, man.
I don't know. I'm gonna move my camera. Plus, it gets the camera off my face for a minute, which I think gives everyone a little bit of a reprieve. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is going to be the year after that. So this will be kind of what we were talking about. So I'll try to do this. Bob Thornton. If I turn him around, I want John Bagley. Get to the lowers. Stacey King, he's a rookie with the Bulls. Vlade Divac.
Vlade, oh man,
rookie. His claim to fame, traded for Kobe.
That's right. He's the GM for the Sacramento now, right?
I think so. He's in basketball. Either that or he works for the league. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Gerald Wilkins of the Knicks. Not Kobe Bryant. This is before Kobe, but Mark Bryant, no relation. Michael Adams. Lenny Wilkins, a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
And a coach.
Nice.
Greg Dreiling. Jerry Reynolds. I'll move through these quick, guys. Otis Smith. Here we go. We got a Jordan and Magic card.
Nice.
Jack Sigma.
Sick.
Oh, look at this. We were talking about it.
Nice. You got the Menendez.
And they're in there. They're in
man,
there.
I think you just made your money back on that pack.
Yeah, that's not what it's kind of funny.
I mean,
unfortunately, it's the macabre part of the hobby, and then Mike finishing up with a Mike Dunleavy. So there you go. Mark Jackson pulled live on Breaking Cardboard with the Menendez brothers. I didn't think the Menendez brothers would be part of the program, but they may be getting out soon if you follow.
That's a whole nother episode, right?
Yeah, that is a whole nother. And Ruben does not disappoint. John is doing a shotgun opening, and Mike Petty said this is the best way to open your own packs. Well, Menendez rookie. Yeah, crazy. Wasn't sure we were going to see that, but it's part of that. It's part of that release from that year. So, listen, you have a young son. My son was young. He's now 25. He's not even a kid anymore. He still collects a little bit, but kids in the hobby, for me, Josh, is a big platform on mine. And I know I've had debates with people like it's not necessarily necessary. I'm a little selfish because I started when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I think you don't have to start as a kid to be in a hobby. You can come in as an adult. There's no rule. I get it. Um, but I think I've often said this. I think if you start in the hobby as a kid, you're more likely to be in it for the long haul. Where I
Yeah.
think if you kind of start as an adult, nothing wrong with that. But I think you're more likely to get out. Not that you will, but I think the percentages would show you're more likely to get out if you start as an adult. I'm glad I started when I did because I didn't care about values. It wasn't about that at the time. For me, in 1979, I was a Yankee fan as a younger New York City resident. Steinbrenner ruined that for me. That's a whole other show that many of
Early
people probably
90s
listening.
Steinbrenner.
Yeah. And so I kind of switched over about 84, 85 as 12 or 13-year-old kid. And
Strawberry and
but
Gooden came. Yeah.
yeah, they still weren't good yet, and it's just Steinbrenner was ruining things for me as a kid. I was just tired of seeing him talking at press conferences rather than the players and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I started as a kid and I did it just for the pure love of trading, collecting the guys I love. Thurman Munson was how I learned about death, quite frankly, and my
Yeah.
first
That's rough, man.
favorite active player.
Yeah.
And learned to go back and obviously being from Brooklyn, Jackie Robinson will always be my guy. And my dad lived at Ebbets Field, but I think kids are important to the hobby. Let's listen. We don't like to always think about it, right? But we're not going to be here forever, right? Someone else has to come up, much like we came up behind others before us. Someone else is going to have to come up behind us and carry the baton forward. So whenever I'm at a show, whether it be as a dealer, Josh, or it's just behind the other side of the tables as a consumer, I
Mhm.
love seeing the kids in the hobby. Now it's different. I've heard people say, and I've seen it. Like it's not some of these kids are carrying Zion cases with 30K and cards. It's different than
That's a whole
when
nother. Yeah.
But that being said, I still love seeing kids active in the hobby. I think it's important whether it's a kid with $30,000 worth of cards in his or more in his Zion case, or a kid with $500 or less, or what doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the dollar amount, right? Those kids, we need those younger folks to the hobby to continue to thrive.
Yeah.
I'm 52 now, but I was 7 when I started, and we're going to need that next group of young people. No one's here forever, so I'm a big kids in the hobby. I've had debates with people, friendly ones. It doesn't get hey John, we like kids in the hobby are great. I don't have anything against them, but I disagree with you when you say like it's a necessity. It really isn't necessary, just as long as we have people in the hobby.
Mhm.
And I just maybe it is a selfish point of view, but I just enjoy seeing kids, boys, girls, it doesn't matter, enjoying the hobby. Maybe it's as simple as it brings me back to when I was 7 and that nostalgia aspect of the hobby that takes many shapes and forms. So I know with your son, I'll let you speak to that. How does he like the hobby? Is it something you hope to as he gets older? I know he's young, that you hope to see more of, and just the topic in general. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I think I always kind of, when I think about the hobby and kids, I always think about that monologue from Field of Dreams where, it talks about baseball being like a thing that brings us together. It's been broken down and built up and torn down again, but there's something about it. And there's something about this hobby that keeps bringing people back together through the generations. Whether you know, I have dealer friends that I go to shows and see that are, you know, in their mid 80s and they still have that same twinkle and sparkle in their eye that the 7 or 8-year-old kid does come into the show. And some of those 7 or 8-year-old kids probably have a house payment they're carrying around, a mortgage payment they're carrying around in their Zion cases. It's a whole different kind of collector. But there seems to be a consistent twinkle and spark in people's eyes if they are there with purpose and direction with what they have and what they do. With my child, we concentrate on the small things. It's just like about being together and having that special time together with the collection stuff. I mean, like, a lot of my stuff is like, I have lots of junk wax boxes that of unopened stuff that I collected. And I'm like, one day I want to just build sets, and I've got some valuable stuff in there too. But I have a lot of it just sitting, waiting to just open one by one or in large groups. Me personally, I'm more of a signed card and memorabilia guy, and that's something that I wanted to pass down to my children one day. And but there's something about the hobby, you know. I mean, the trade nights are massive now with kids. If you go to a trade night, it's like 15 birthday parties all in one. It's something about that that is just wonderful, that I love seeing and loving being part of. I mean, we have at our stores, we have at least 3 trade nights a month. We have one tomorrow at one of our stores, and you know, they're always well attended. And we try to make it as fun and enjoyable and open to all. And, you know, this may be somebody's first time coming to a card shop or coming to the hobby. And there's something else about the whole card world now that I don't know if you're aware of it, but Pokemon and TCG is absolutely white hot right now.
Yeah.
It.
I don't know. I know it is. I'm not a Pokemon guy, but
Yeah, me either. But I love being around those people. And you know, there have been a couple of shows here locally where they had to stagger entry because the fire marshal was about to shut them down, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. A comment here too. I want to get your take. You know, and there were I put some earlier comments up from Michael here too. You know, and he talks about Pokemon here. It says, as soon as kids understand money, the twinkle's money. Don't follow yourself. I watch kids open Pokemon and immediately go cash out with parents. And he's worried about the gambling aspect. And I get that. I'm not here to necessarily argue the point, but I hate to say it, right? But we're seeing there's not only the hobby, but we're seeing the sports themselves embrace gambling, right? For how many years did the NFL want to like distance themselves? Obviously, Major League Baseball. We all know about the Pete Rose stuff. In the 60s, Mano and others got in trouble for promoting a casino and that sort of thing. So for many moons, the sports didn't want that association with gambling, right?
They figured
For
out their
obvious
money is just as
reasons.
green as everybody else's.
Yeah, and now we're seeing commercials during the games. We're
Yeah.
seeing, in some cases, we're seeing ads on the uniforms themselves. When I'm a big New York Rangers and Mets fan, and I can tell you, during both of those broadcasts, at some point and at multiple times, the staff from the station itself, it's not even a commercial for DraftKings or FanDuel, but it's the staff of the station are talking about the game that's on and a bet you can place with what's going on in the current game with the Rangers and the Mets. So
you're right.
I agree with Michael with the hobby, but the kids are getting it from every angle now too. So it's what do you do? Like it's like you can't. Yeah, I don't think you can put the horse back into the barn, right? I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's where we are. Like, what do you? I think it's too late, and it's, you know, I guess you could say it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
you
and
just
that gets into
hope
a purpose and values on a family level more than anything. But you know, some people, you know, they have their gray areas may be wider or smaller than others. Of course, you know, my money that I make is too hard earned. Like, I think the only thing, like, in the sports card, working in the industry, buying a box is gambling enough because you're hoping that like, well, at least want to make my money back. But
which usually, listen, most of the time, let's be real,
yeah,
doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why when you hit something, it's such a big deal. If
Yeah.
everyone was getting their box returned every time, that would be reflected in the prices. It's I always just say, like, I don't know what you can do now. It's
Yeah.
again, it's too far. I just hope the majority of kids, like that if they, like you said, gamble responsibly, and during these ads, there's small print or real quick they'll say, don't gamble more than you can afford to lose, that sort of disclaimer. But I agree, I'm not a fan of it. um but for me, I do a little sports gambling, but I'm not gambling money, Josh.
Yeah.
For me, I rather gamble on sports than go to casino, because I feel with like sports, as a sports fan, I at least have that competitive advantage than going and playing blackjack, where you're at the disadvantage. At least I
Mhm.
feel like, hey, this person's injured, or I think how this game's gonna go, or he's on the mound, or it doesn't mean I win every bet, and I'm not betting like insane amounts where I'm not paying my house payment or mortgage either, or where I have to be embarrassed and tell my wife, like, hey, my paycheck this week is went up in flames. It's not on anywhere near
Yeah.
that level. But some people do play on at that level, and they don't always win, and then it becomes an issue. Listen, gambling is an addiction, like a lot of other addictions. Thankfully, I just know my limits. I think with sports, I probably win. Honestly, not to be more than I lose, but depends. Every week is different. I don't like, that maybe it's in kids' faces constantly. But listen, I think cards itself, the hobby, has become a milder form of gambling. Or in some cases, if somebody's ripping cases of stuff, it's just as expensive as real gambling can be. So
And of course, we
you
wanted to all
just,
come to our stores too, but we want them to keep coming back. So,
yeah, I think some of it too. It's got to fall on the parents, right?
Yeah.
I've had conversations about my son about a lot of things in life, right? Birds and bees, gambling. Be responsible with your money, value the dollar.
Yeah,
Like
for
you
sure.
know what I mean. I think you have to have those conversations, and now I guess you can add gambling to everything else, that as a mom or dad you have to sit your son or daughter and have those tough discussions with. And
Yeah, I mean,
you know and
it's tough. It's tough when as a player in all these leagues, they're the ones that see going out to the outfield, or warming up in the bullpen, or coming out of the locker room and playing football. They see ads for all this sports gambling all over
yeah,
the place, and they're like, why are why is our league taking monies yet putting a morality clause on us as players? I mean, I can understand not betting on your own sport, but like, what if I want to bet on soccer and I play this? So I don't know, there's some wiggly gray area with it that I can kind of see why people say, you know but once the genie's out of the bottle and Pandora's box open, how do you close that? You can't.
I think it's tough. I think then it falls on the individual, whether that be a kid, young adult, to use their noggin, be smart.
Yeah.
If it's a kid or young adult, a parent hopefully is there to sort of provide some guidance and, like, hey, be careful here. It can happen quick. Be smart.
Yeah.
Try not to do it. Period. If you can avoid it, right? Funny comment, Ruben. We gamble here. We watch John make bets if he says certain words during the show. Brooklyn, Jackie Thurman, Mets softball. He's up 10K tonight. I hit all of those today, Josh. So if you're doing the Newman bingo card, I think everyone
Taking the over
won
under.
on that. So some episodes I probably the under, but probably the safer bets the over. But here's my thing: I don't want to see kids not be in the hobby
Yeah.
because of the gambling aspect. I just hope they do it for the right reasons. They're smart. I know whenever someone, a kid opens a pack and hits something, right? One of the first questions you're going to hear is, "Hey, how much is this worth?" Heck, it's not even a kid thing, right? We see grown-ups do that too. I think it's just a hobby thing, and
Yeah.
and I've seen people say, I don't collect for the monetary value," and then you see them hit something or open something, and the first question they ask, "Hey, what's this go for?" Or, "Hey, I got a great deal on this card. It normally goes for this." So unfortunately, the value is always going to be part of the hobby, whether it's why you collect or not why you collect. That's up to the individual. But I think it's going to be part of the hobby, and everyone's going to have their whatever the reasons for collecting, right? Some like for me as a dealer and a collector, I collect inventory for personal collection. You see stuff behind me that you'll never see at my table at a show, and then I have a show inventory that is stuff I'm selling. And
Yeah.
you know, I know there's a thing. Sometimes we try to make people feel guilty for selling cards, but where if I sell cards, well, generally where does that money go back into the hobby to buy new cards, right? So it's just a cycle, right? And so I don't see the big deal, but everyone has a different opinion about things. I want to see kids in the hobby. I just hope that the hobby doesn't become a negative experience or
Yeah.
lead or be a gateway to a negative experience down the line. But we really can't control that. That's up to the individuals,
Yeah. And
right?
I think the most
And
wonderful thing about the hobby is like what you say, the hobby is the people, you know? It's
yeah,
just like, the people you meet, and the
yeah,
connections you make. And like when I go to shows, man, I go to the same people and I'm like, I end up just talking and hanging out with friends basically most of the time and
yeah.
look through a little bit, buy a couple of things. But I'm like, man, I just spent 3 hours just hanging out with buddies.
Yep. That's a great point too, right? You hope you have enough people
Yeah.
in
That's
your inner
that's the best
circle
thing about it
that
for
you
me.
can talk to, that if you are sort of getting off the rails or maybe going down the wrong path or risk, that you have someone close enough to you to say, "Hey man, are you sure about that?" or "Be careful," or "What are you doing?" and
Yeah. A
that
little
sort of
accountability
thing.
never hurt anybody.
Yep, no doubt. All right. So let's open our last packs here. I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
If you I'm going this is a lot of people's favorite design set. We're gonna talk about designs here in a second, but 87 tops. Not my personal favorite. It's grown on me over the years. It's still not up there for me, but for some people, this was like this is the set. There is gum in here. No, I will not be eating it. It's not chewable. Let me get rid of it. I don't. That's like I think that'll survive a nuclear war. Right off the bat, Jack Morris, Hall of Famer. Some
Nice.
will argue. Some will argue that. Lance Parrish.
Solid all-star.
I'm trying to read it backwards. Gary Renicky. What do we got? Keith Moreland. Checklist. Not written on. Mark Bailey. Chet Lemon.
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan. What do we got? Ruben Sierra.
Oh yeah,
The
that's that record
major.
breaker card.
Yep. Bernie Williams. Tom Kelly, manager. Oh, we got Nolan. 09.
Nice.
Dennis Rasmussen. Henry Cotto. Gotta read the back on it. Juan Beniquez. I remember him. The spring training contest card. Mike Smithson. Jay Howell. Wrong ace. We're kind of hoping for McGuire. Daryl Boston, who didn't play for the Red Sox. He played for the White Sox. John Russell. Clint Hurdle wound up managing the Rockies for a
Nice.
bit.
Yeah.
Lance McCullers. Here's a
Some
Hall
place
of Famer. Borderline one, but he's in. Ted Simmons.
Yeah.
Omar Marino, known more for his Pirate days. Another manager, or later manager, Mike Scioscia. Mark Davis. Oh, here's your dude. The Chicken Man.
Hey, yeah.
Wade Boggs.
Nice
Josh is
card.
a big Wade Boggs fan, so there you go. We got Mike Mason. Alan Ashby, another manager, player turned manager, Ron Washington.
Whole wash.
Yeah. Floyd Humans. In the last card, Larry McWilliams. So
Nice.
there's worse packs.
Four Hall
There's
of
worse
Fame.
packs.
See if I can beat you. I got
All
my
right,
87
yeah.
tops.
There you go. You gotta have less cards to do it, but it only takes one.
I have about 8 boxes of these. I want to build a set with my son one day.
If anyone wants this gum, it's in 3 pieces now. I'll put your address in
Hey,
the
yeah, let's run a little Raz and raffle for it,
I'll
right?
send it to you. I will not be.
Too.
Listen, I'm trying to stay healthy. It's harder to do.
Hey, mine's a full piece
stuff.
too.
There you go. Yours
Full
is
piece
unscathed.
intact. PSA 10. Jim Mint right here. All right, what do we got? Let's see. Did I get the same pack as you, Larry McWilliams?
Yeah, same card. That'd
Ron,
be funny if it's sequential.
If we got the same sequence, that's going to be hilarious.
That'd be funny.
Ron Renicky. Here we go.
Yeah, I got Gary Renicky.
Roscoe got that last out in '86, right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, Mark Carr's been the
Randy Neiman, Charlie Kerfield, Mike Laga,
I don't remember him too
Mike
much.
Moore. Here we go. R.I.P.
Yeah, Ricky.
And I met this guy, man. I asked him, I wanted him to sign my hat. And I said, I want to get the Man of Steel to sign my hat. And he looked at me and he said, but is Ricky still the greatest of all time? Deadpan in the face. And then started laughing at me. He's like, of course I'll sign your hat. He talked about himself in the third person as much as he could. Dan
he was a funny guy.
Mark Thurmond. Jan Kelsey. Borderline Hall of Famer, Fred Lynn.
Yep.
Ernie Riles. Calvin Schiraldi. I think you beat me. Steve Jeltz. Mario.
Oh, that's Tony. That's Tony DiMarzio's guy, Steve Jeltz there. Some Red
Mario
Sox there
Soto
for
and Floyd Humans.
I got the Humans too. So there was a couple some same cards in both of those packs. So
and speaking of
I'm not go ahead.
Speaking of favorite sets, I mean 87 Tops is probably my favorite because I like
it?
Yeah, I like this design. It's kind of got that vintage wood background feel. There's a lot of solid cards and rookies. I mean,
people love the 87 Top set. I know. I've had this. I'm not a big. I don't hate. It's grown on me. I think I disliked it more. I think I dislike it less, but it's still not one of my. Would you say in the junk wax era, it's your favorite set?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite set of like junk wax. I consider it more, probably a little more valuable. Some people say junk wax begins 85, 86. I think it begins like 87s really starts to get kind of junk wax because I still think that 86 top set holds a little more value.
Look at this, man. I'm outnumbered. Orlando agrees, and he's got the Tiffany version. Mike Petty, his too. I don't know. It just didn't, maybe it's because I'm older and I saw a lot of the 68, which I know it's not exactly the same. And the 62. And I just felt like Topps just went back. And this is before Heritage, before they did the Heritage releases. I just thought like Topps just took something from the past and changed it a little bit. And it's grown on me a little bit. I'll admit that, but it's still, I don't like it as much as most other people do.
Yeah.
And it just didn't move my meter. Sure, I love pulling a McGuire and at the time Palmeiro and all those other guys, Bonds, but I didn't like the design. The design didn't do it for me. I opened plenty of it. I mean, it didn't stop
Oh
me
yeah.
from opening it, but not a big fan. For me, it's a few years before that, but this was my set, Josh. This made me broke. Not the greatest
84
picture, a
Donruss,
little
man.
blur. 84 Donruss. Now, when you think about the Donruss, the prior, like I'm a Tops kid growing up in Brooklyn. Tops is in my backyard. The first time I really even considered another brand was 82 Donruss when the Diamond Kings and Dick Perez. That was something totally different. It made me turn my head, right? The regular cards in 82 Donruss were terrible. Let's be
Yeah.
real. Right? But it was the Diamond Kings that I was interested in, right? But 84 Donruss was the first time where I said, you know what, this is a better design than Tops this year. And this is where a lot of my money went. And to this day, I still try to pick up 84 Donruss cards for my PC
Yeah.
to this day. That Tony Gwynn card that you see there, the Manly rookie made me go broke cutting that. I was just sort of changing my allegiance to the Mets, but Don Manley was still one of my favorite players, even though I was kind of moving away from the Yankees. But that Gwynn card, the strawberry, is becoming a Mets fan. Just close ups, getting to kind of see him up close and personal, unlike you did really when you watch him on TV with a helmet and from a distance, and just the design of that card with the wave. It's really, to me, you're talking about 41 years later here, Josh. That card still moves. Like I still love the 84 Donruss. So it was ahead of its time for then. And even today, like if that card came out today, it's still pretty sharp. Even if they, and I know Donruss did some of the retros and redid some of it and added some foil to it. But 84 Donruss made me broke. And Rich Klein says, I'm disappointed in you. Started as a beloved Yankee fan and then
Yeah,
transferred
me
to
and
the
Rich,
Bay.
me and Rich on the same team.
Well, listen, Rich, it's not the players. It was Steinbrenner. And I'm sure Rich has heard me probably tell the story.
Oh, there were some pretty wretched
at
teams
nauseam.
from the 80s, so I kind of don't blame you. They had Winfield.
I don't hate the Yankees. I just George Steinbrenner ruined it for me. Like after every game, it was him at the podium. He was trading dudes left and right. He was speaking before the players. He was firing Billy Martin 18 times and rehiring him. It just became like a comedy show. Even though they did win some, I just was like, oh man, I can't. This guy's ruining it for me. So
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily hate him. I just switched over to the Mets. Different league, so I wasn't really rooting against the Mets over the Yankees unless they met in the World Series. So, now we still have the Steinbrenners. It's just, it's funny. The Steinbrenner kids are the exact opposite of their dad. They don't seek the limelight. You rarely hear from them. If George would have been a little bit more like that, I probably maybe would still be a Yankee fan today. And I went to listen. Thurman Munson was my guy. It still is. As far as playing days, Jackie Robinson, Thurman Munson. And I went to plenty of Yankee games. I went to probably more Yankee games as a kid than Mets games, no doubt.
Awesome.
But just Steinbrenner kind of ruined it for me for various reasons. But it is what it. But going back to that '84 set, for me, that was the set and of that time period. We go back even further. You got 53 Tops is a favorite of mine. 65 Tops with the pennant. 57 Tops.
68 Tops
63.
was a good set for me. I mean, that had that Nolan Ryan rookie in it, and that was Mantle.
Yeah.
Because Mantle's 69, yeah.
Yeah, 69 was Mantle's last
I have a
card.
68 Mantle, yeah.
Yeah. And again, listen, you just like certain sets better than others. And listen, like I said, I wasn't a fan of the 87 tops. I opened plenty of it. That didn't stop me from opening it, So it is what it is. We just like certain designs. But even to this day, I'll seek out some 84 singles and pick them up and just keep them in my PC and I've got I don't know how many of those Gwyn's. I've got a couple of the Mattingly's, but that was my 80s. So Rich Klein, who forgot more hobby than both of us know
Oh yeah.
together, right? 68 is perhaps the easiest one out there. But he comes back here and says 84 Donruss was a thank you, Rich. And
Rich is
definitely
always
for
my phone a
today.
friend when I need a I need somebody to
Yeah.
tell me something.
Yeah, and when you think about some of the other sets in the 80s, right? Even in the year 84, the 84 tops with the sideways team name and the little square
Yeah.
picture, and the 84 Fleer, which was white, which is kind of the blue stripe. The 84 Donruss was like, if there was an Academy Awards for cards, that would have won Best Picture in 1984. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure.
that's how I'll say it. So, but listen, man, this was a lot of fun. We
Yeah,
probably could
absolutely.
we
Thanks,
could
John.
probably do 3 hours. I got to hit one more sponsor before PennySleever.com.
Hi, I'm Isaac Alpert, a longtime card collector and the co-founder of the Penny Sleever. My wife and I started the Penny Sleever with a simple premise in mind: to offer collectors top quality supplies at fair prices. We offer a full range of hobby supplies and we'll get them to you fast. Whether you're looking for a 260-point magnetic for that oversized patch card or a slew of semi-rigids for your next PSA submission, the Penny Sleever has you covered. Shop now at thepennysleever.com and use the promo code SCNation to get 10% off your first order. That's SCNation for 10% off at thepennysleever.com.
All right, Isaac doing a great job. Him and his wife, great products. A little cheaper than some of your bigger name brands, but the quality's just as good. And they have even the vintage size. We always have trouble sometimes with the oversized cards. They got you covered there.
Awesome.
SCN Pod 10% off. But Josh, man, I had a blast. We could probably do another show, but I don't know if everyone else would wants to stay up that late. But again, thank you for coming on. Nice to meet you, at least in visual rather than just in talking. I'm going international, so let's make a plan.
Yes,
to
absolutely. I got a growing list of
meet in
people I
person.
need to meet up with. So you're getting on there.
Yep, you'll see. I'm even commercials do suck, foul ball, but they pay some of the bills sometimes. So Mark says, "Hey, I'll see Isaac this Sunday." I'm assuming at a show in the Mass area there, and so there you go. But kind of last word, where people can find the content that you're making, whether it's your personal stuff or your new gig. Give out both of those things.
Yeah, you can find me online, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at the Josh Durham. You can also go see my content at any of our pages with my my work at Wax Sports Cards for any of our locations, Triple Sports Cards. We also have 2 other shops, Wonderwater and Clearwater. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook, and Boomerang Comic Books. So any of those cards, you got a lot of places to see all of our great content, all the wonderful things that we're doing, having a lot of fun, and come check us out, man. And hopefully, all you guys out there in the online universe will meet one day. And all about the collaboration and the hobby. It's growing. It's a wonderful time to be in the hobby and to meet new people.
Well, Josh, continued success. Congratulations
Thanks, John.
on the new gig as well. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. You never